boy, are we lucky to have Hala Model as part of our club. For those of you who don't know Hala, that must be about 3 of you in this room. She became president and CEO of the Woodruff Arts Center in September of 2020 after serving almost 6 years as the first female president and CEO of the Metro Atlanta Chamber, where she represented 15 Fortune 500 companies in the business community in the country's 6th largest metropolitan area. Hala has spent 30 years in president and CEO roles and served as a corporate director for 4 New York Stock Exchange companies and a Carlyle Group private portfolio company board. She has spent the majority of her career in Atlanta. Thank you for stepping up and leading the conversation with Michaela today. If you'll come on stage, I am going to ask somebody I'm missing greatly today to introduce Michaela. Michaela, you've inspired her already. So Joel, if you'll play the video, please.
Hello, and welcome to Daughters Day at Rotary 2024. I am disappointed to not be present among you, as I frequently attended this program with my dad. However, I have the immense privilege and honor to introduce a trailblazer of young entrepreneurship, Michaela Ulmer, who will be speaking today. In looking for an esteemed example of the Rotary Credo, service above self, one must look no further than Michaela. Michaela's achievements inspire a new generation of entrepreneurs through her passion for her craft, as well as her deep-rooted concern for the community on a larger scale. Michaela and her business, Me and the Bees, serves as a perfect representation of the power of one's ambition and inspires young people to take the initiative in the field of entrepreneurship and business that is so often viewed as daunting and insurmountable. Michaela began her business model for Me and the Bees at just 4 years old. Me and the Bees is a lemonade business inspired by her grandma's recipe for lemonade and her desire to raise awareness about the importance of bees in our ecosystem. Michaela began her rise to fame on the acclaimed TV show Shark Tank, where she garnered an investment from Dave and John. In 2017, at 14 years old, Michaela's business became even more distinguished as Me and the Bees sold over 500,000 bottles in 500 stores nationwide. The rapid success of her business venture is evident, as presently Me and the Bees can be found in over 6,500 stores. Not only has Michaela's success been highlighted through these numbers, but it is also demonstrated in her philanthropic efforts. Me and the Bees donating over $250,000 to efforts aimed at saving honeybees is just one example of how Michaela uses her success for the betterment of something that extends far beyond herself. On top of the exponential growth of her business, Michaela continues her studies at Emory University, where she has earned the distinction of a Woodruff Scholar. Michaela is the epitome of a self-made woman in business who also uses her platform to advocate for and promote causes she believes in, like environmental sustainability and youth social entrepreneurship. Michaela serves as an inspiration to the blooming generation of young women who have a passion to change the world and the drive and determination to be successful in a field often dominated by their male counterparts. Michaela, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to Rotary today, and we look forward to hearing you speak. Thank you.
Thank you for inspiring Gibby and all of our daughters. Come on up.
Hello, Michaela.
Hello, Michaela. And hello, everybody.
Yes, I get to meet Michaela just briefly on Zoom a couple of days ago, and you're in for a real treat. So I'm just going to jump right into the questions. And luckily, Michaela, even though she's in the middle of exams, was able to give us the questions that she wanted me to ask. So I think we're in good shape here today. So, I got to say, I was really, and thank you, Adrian, really just honored and excited to be the one to get to interview you. So really, it's an honor.
I could say the same, and I'm so excited to be here.
Good.
I'd love to know, for any of the daughters in the audience, do any of you have finals? Are you done? Are you about to start? I see some nervous yeses.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you're in the thick of it.
Okay, so for those parents, dads and moms who are able to get their college-age kids here with still exams, I applaud you. They really love you because that's a lot. So, okay, well, here we go. What made you want to start your business at age 4?
Okay, well, I think first it was my great-granny Helen's 1940s recipe. But the main thing was when I was 4 and a half, I was at family reunion and I got stung in my ear by a bee. And then less than a week later, I got stung once again on my neck. And those were two very painful experiences. Has anyone been stung by a bee before? Ooh, what are your thoughts on bees? How was that experience? Good? Yes? I did not like it. I couldn't say the same, but I was terrified of the bees after that sting, and anything that looked like a bee, buzzed, flew like a bee, sounded like a bee, I avoided. And my parents said, okay, this can't happen. How about you do some research? And at the time, it was animated videos, it was picture books, but I learned that back in 2009, bees were facing one of the biggest crises in the United States, which is colony collapse disorder. And I was inspired by the plight of the honeybees, as well as my great-granny Helen's 1940s flaxseed lemonade recipe, and I made honey-sweetened flaxseed lemonade. I did dress up in a bee suit, which wasn't my idea. That was my mom's, and I sold in front of my house, and then realized that the more cups of lemonade I could sell, the more bees I could save, and it continued to scale from there.
Not too shabby. That sounds great. Well, the part I love the most about this, because I'm not sure everybody really understands, this bee advocacy thing is so important. So what got you interested in environmental sustainability and bee advocacy? Because at 4 and 5, that's pretty advanced.
Well, first, Atlanta knows about the importance of bees because Atlanta is a bee city. But in terms of honeybees and wild and native bees, bees pollinate about 1 out of every 3 bites of the food we eat. They contribute around $16 billion to the US agricultural economy annually, and that's honeybees alone. And when I was first learning about the bees, it wasn't the numbers that interested me, but it was all of the foods that I needed on a daily basis. So I liked cheese on my cheese pizza, and cheese is made by cows, and cows eat a plant called alfalfa, and bees pollinate that plant called alfalfa, which obviously relies on bee pollination, but it goes as far as the fruits we eat, the vegetables, nuts and seeds, and I decided, okay, maybe they are like the littlest and biggest links in our food chain, and they deserve some of our attention. And so now there is generally a bounce back in honeybee populations, but Xerces Society says about 35% of wild and native bees are at risk of extinction. And I had no idea, but there's over 20,000 species of bees, and honeybees are just one of them. And the native and wild bee species are a lot more specialized at pollinating different plants. So if we like a variety of different fruits and vegetables, then we need a variety of different bees. And so the mission has shifted from just saving honeybees to saving wild and native bees as well.
Okay, I've just learned more about bees in 60 seconds than I had a clue. I mean, I knew there was a crisis, but that is a really great way to frame it around the food. I mean, thank you. So so my next question is irrelevant. So, but you are an entrepreneur, but you're also a social entrepreneur. So tell us what the distinction is there and why you feel so strongly about what you're doing.
Okay, I know all the daughters know what an entrepreneur is. Someone who comes up with a business idea and takes a risk to launch that. But social entrepreneur adds another level, which is creating environmental and social good. And I love, at least in my econ classes, learning about all of the different models. Like there's social entrepreneurship, there's corporate social good, there's social innovation, like the panelists from last week. But in general, it's realizing that as your business grows, the impact your business can have on your community or your environment can grow as well. And having your mission be at the forefront of your brand and the forefront of every decision you make after that. And for us, that was the bees.
Okay, well, I think everybody is interested in this. Tell us about your experience on Shark Tank. And how old were you when you actually were on Shark Tank?
Okay, so Shark Tank was 9 years old. And I pitched to, I know the sharks have changed since then, but it was Damon, it was Barbara, it was Mr. Mark, and I remember some of my favorite parts were, of course, getting the It's a Deal from Damon and having him on our team and as a mentor, and the funding which we used to grow into C-stores. But I guess one of the not so cool parts was when Mr. Wonderful said he would invest if I dropped out of school. Who knows where me and the bees would go if I took him up on that offer. But I will say that not dropping out of school and having my company grow alongside myself as a student has led to, I think, like a symbiotic relationship between the two. So I can learn more about business from school and then apply what I learned from business to classes as well. Ooh.
All right. First of all, someone needs to talk to that person. But B, you are perfect example of this. I mean,
Thank you.
congrats on that. That's great.
And I wanted to add, I know that Rotary is very big on supporting educators, and the fact is that my math teachers back in fourth and fifth grade were the main people who tutored me on percentages and on equity, on the mathematics that I would need to understand the questions that the sharks were asking, answer them, and navigate the deal. So I think that was another one of my favorite parts, which is learning from my teachers and them volunteering their time outside of class time to teach me the fundamentals of business.
Yeah, that is so great because I'm sitting here trying to imagine a fourth and fifth grade math teacher helping you with your term sheet. You know, I think that's hysterical and wonderful. And we do celebrate educators here, so that's great. Okay, well, the next question, and I don't believe this ever happens to you, but I'm going to ask it. So you've been sitting around with lots of Fortune 500 CEOs, and you've been invited to the White House. So question is, do you ever get nervous? And if you do, how do you handle that nervousness?
Okay. Do I ever get nervous, and how do I handle the nervousness? I would first say that being nervous means you care, obviously, and I think when the nerves come from something that's bigger than yourself, then they kind of shrink away. So I was nervous when I testified in front of the House of Representatives to allow the legalization of kids having lemonade stands on their own personal property. That was nerve-wracking. I was so scared. But I wasn't going there on behalf of like Michaela Ulmer, but I was going on behalf of kids learning about entrepreneurship around the country. I was nervous introducing former President Obama, but I wasn't there with, I guess, on behalf of Michaela. I think I was there on behalf of the American dream and entrepreneurship in general. So remembering that you're not there to necessarily talk about yourself, but to communicate something makes it a lot less nerve-wracking ahead of events and presentations. And I also have class projects and presentations that I am working on and wrangling for next week, and same thing. I'm there to communicate something, and the grade might come along.
That is incredible advice because I think all people get nervous about things, but it's really, if your message and what you're trying to do is bigger than you, then it's not about you. So you just kind of relax into it and make it happen.
Exactly.
I think that was great advice. Oh, so good. Okay, so what made you decide to write a book already? Because it seems like you're busy. Okay.
Yes. The book was my sophomore year of high school, and it was because I was busy. I was a student and I was hitting the books, but I also had people who wanted to learn about the basics of business or about how to start their own company or about what social entrepreneurship was. And I wrote the book because even though I can't travel to different countries and share my story while being a student, a book could. And so the book is now translated and distributed in over 24 countries, but it is entrepreneurship and social change for kids. And as a high schooler, I wanted to do that. Thank you.
I assume you took the opportunity to advocate for bees in that book as well.
Oh, the name is Be Fearless.
Okay,
There's
good.
so many bee puns throughout the book.
With 2 E's, right?
Yes, 2 E's.
That's right. Well, I think we maybe have some books, or we're going to have some books. We'll get some books. Somehow we'll have books. And I know there's some lemonade on your table, so don't be shy about tasting that. But yeah, the whole idea of spreading that word around 24 countries is phenomenal. So thank you again for doing that.
International impact.
Oh, good. Talk about the book. Yeah. Oh, yep. Got it. I bet you can get this on Amazon or maybe outside the door or someplace like that. So anyway, let me go ahead and pump your book up for you.
Library.
The library. Very spoken like a true young entrepreneur. Let's use our public libraries. I bet it's on backlist there, though.
Maybe.
Is it on Audible?
It is.
Okay, excellent. Good. Okay, so another question for you: is there any such thing as being too young to start a business?
Yes, there's someone here who's definitely younger than
6
4.
months.
But no, I don't think so. I think kids are the biggest, they're the most entrepreneurial. They're the biggest problem solvers. They have the most empathy, and they see a problem and they're already thinking about ways to solve it. So I don't think there's any such thing as being too young to be an entrepreneur, and I think being young is a superpower, as is being a girl. But for entrepreneurship, I started at 4, and it starts with curiosity, which was me learning about the bees, and it takes empathy, which is me wanting to save the bees and have a good product for people who want a healthy beverage, but the rest you learn along the way. You learn the numbers along the way, you learn the technicals along the way, you learn how to interact with customers along the way. So it doesn't take age to have empathy and to be curious and to be able to identify a problem. It just takes wanting to start a business and saying, I have a business idea and I want to start it and I'm going to do it.
You know, it actually ties back to last week's program, because they were saying that part of being an entrepreneur is, I'm going to paraphrase here, is not, you don't know what you don't know, so you just go ahead, and then you let your curiosity take you there, and you don't have blinders that you put up about yourself or the world at a young age, and you just go for it. So does it feel that way to you?
I would agree, and I think I know that there's someone here who had either a lemonade stand or their own small business, and I think that for the young entrepreneurs, they could definitely relate, because you just start with your idea, and then as you begin to see your idea grow and gain momentum, that usually sparks curiosity into what's next. So I would definitely agree with that.
Well, do you want to give out any just specific tips on starting a business?
My tips for starting a business are, of course, related to the bees. So if you look at a beehive, there's the worker bees, there's the drones, and there's the queen bees. And a necessary part of any hive is that each bee has its role, and as a bee matures, their role actually changes. But when it comes to starting a business, I just say start with finding your hive. Find your teachers, find your friends, and find your mentors, peers, your advisors, the people who you know will get your company where you want it to be. And once you have that hive, then I would say start. So first thing is to find your hive and build your hive and cultivate your hive as you grow your company. And my next tip for starting a business is to start with your mission. Start with exactly what good you want to do through your business and come up with your model that supports that and grow from there. But when you put your mission at the forefront, when you have challenges that are inevitable in business, then you're reminded of why you started it in the first place, and that kind of helps push you through the tough times and the great times as well.
You know, one of the things I loved about what you said about the hive is that over time, the whatever that person or that thing in the hive is doing, that their job changes. Yes. Or their influence changes. Yes. So the next question I had for you is, how has your approach to business changed? And I bet from 4 to Emory, you have a little changing that you've done.
Yes, over half my life. It's really interesting for bees. They start as obviously a larva, and then they go on to be protector bees, so essentially defending their hive against unwanted guests. And then they go to cultivating the youth, and then they go to scavenger bees. So they're always changing, and their role changes along with them. But I think for me, I've approached business more from a student mindset. So instead of coming up with a new product, it's what kind of food science have I learned from chemistry that I can implement when I'm testing around in the kitchen? Or instead of just rolling out a new product, thinking of competitor analysis, or thinking of market analysis by what's like a literary research, or how do I kind of go and start a research project at school, and how can I bring that into coming up with new products or rolling out new products at Me and the Bees? So I think part of it is approaching business as a student. The other part of it is embracing technology in business. And I think one of the coolest examples was we had a strategic partnership with Microsoft, and we worked with them to create smart hives, so hives that can measure with infrared sensors how the bee is doing, and exactly like how the bees are doing, how the health of the hive is doing, whether there's any foreign invaders. And that was the power of technology for our mission, but also how the power of technology can make your business more efficient and operate more efficiently.
So I have to say, are you using AI on your bees yet?
I'm learning about AI in school,
Okay.
in all of my quantitative science classes, and implementing AI in business.
Great. Okay, good. Well, the next question is about how have you applied what you've learned in business, but it sounds like you're already kind of telling us. I mean, and I love the concept of being a student of your business, and then, luckily you're at a phenomenal university learning all sorts of wonderful things that could be applied. So any more on that topic?
Being a student of your business and I think the thing is being a student of other businesses too. I loved, one of my favorite parts about Shark Tank was behind the scenes meeting with all of the other entrepreneurs, and we would practice our pitches together. We would test out each other's products. There was one business that was a kind of like automatic dog treat releaser, and there were dogs running around backstage as well. So I think not only study your business, but study your competitors and study the businesses that you want to embody, and just study how other people do business as well.
Well, I know we all love dogs, but I do believe your mission was bigger, saving the bees, than getting automatic dog treats. I think people actually like to give their dog treats because they get that reinforcement. So congrats on a bigger mission.
And who knows? Maybe dogs and bees are on the same level in terms of all animals and insects.
So you're an animal lover all around?
Of course, I have a dog named Honey,
Okay.
and she's a miniature schnauzer. That was not my idea. Actually, I think this is implementing business in real life, but when I first asked for a dog, I made a personal website, I made multiple spreadsheet budgets. This is when I was in 5th grade, spreadsheet budgets, and I also gave multiple presentations to my parents on why we should get a dog. And instead of giving us a dog, they got us chickens. So we had a chicken coop, and we had all of the coolest breeds of chickens. We had fuzzy, silky Bantams, we had buff Orpingtons, but it took a lot more convincing until we actually got a dog named Honey. So it works, but it takes a little while.
Well, your father is in the audience, and I'm wondering if he didn't pick up as quick as Shark Tank on you, did he? Okay. The other thing I think we're probably all curious about is what are you planning to do in your final years at Emory? And I've already asked her this question because, of course, I want every smart young person to stay in Atlanta, live in Atlanta, have their company in Atlanta, be everything in Atlanta, and I liked your answer.
I think that, of course, going to the symphony, going to the Highmore, I would also say continuing to scale me and the bees and but save more bees and create a measurable impact on the bees with the company. I would also say as a student, I realized that I just take classes in whatever is interesting, and I'm gonna graduate with a bachelor's in international studies, economics, and a minor in quantitative sciences, but I would love to combine all of those together and apply the operational side of business to scaling other companies. So with my final year at Emory, of course, in Atlanta, working with Emory's Center for Alternative Investments, continuing to lead different orgs and mentor the freshmen, and enjoy my final year of college and my last year as an Emory student, or at least an Emory undergrad.
Okay, so here's the thing. I know everybody in the audience wants to hire her. Please let her get her degree, okay? Because I think that we need that. Yeah, that's a really pretty incredible lineup of degrees that you're going to end up with. So, but you didn't exactly say you're staying in Atlanta.
Let's say this summer I would love to stay in Atlanta and apply my experience in business and apply my experience in my academic background here in Atlanta.
Yeah, great. Thank you. We didn't talk about this part, but where are most of your beehives? Are they all over, or I'm just curious myself.
So we source from all different hives in the United States, but when I first started, it was only in Texas, so all of our honey was local, and this was one of the first business lessons I learned, which was bartering, because honey was one of the most expensive ingredients on our ingredient list, and it was blowing our budget. And so I realized that what if I went to local beekeepers and asked them for honey in exchange for word-of-mouth marketing about their hives, and it worked. And so for the first few stands, we got free honey, and we directed people to the local beekeepers that were providing that honey. But now, we don't have our own bees. I do have my own bee suit, and even as a kid, I had to get bee suits specifically made for kids because I was too small to fit into the regular sized ones. But now it's just national honey, as well as our prickly pear sourced in the US and Arizona. We have flavors like black cherry and mint, and all of that is organically grown, but it's all made in the US.
Great, 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 great. Well, it says that you're just finished finals, but you're still in the middle of them.
I'm still in the thick of it.
So that means you should be exhausted, but you don't seem to be.
I think I'm around joyful people, and I enjoy that. And you're asking great questions, so it wakes my mind up. But I'm halfway through my finals. I have 2 more.
Yeah, you just seem to be a person who really knows how to spend their time. So, but I do want to ask you, what made you decide that you wanted to come and be with us today?
Well, I think the mission of service over self aligns with my missions of putting my kind of motto of putting your business's mission at the forefront. Amazing people, inspiring people. All of my role models in business are in this room as well. And also, as a Woodruff scholar, the impact that Woodruff has had in Atlanta makes me want to kind of embody that impact. So Mr. Anonymous and representing Atlanta and Emory as well.
Great, that's a great answer. Okay, so tell us, do a little marketing for yourself. So how can we keep up with Me and the Bees? So we've got this book, and I'm sure I've got a website. So tell us ways we can keep up and ways we can help you grow your business.
So Me and the Bees is sold in Target and Whole Foods and Gelson's and Wegmans and natural grocers, but the book is Barnes & Nobles and libraries, and my website has more information on how to learn about Me and the Bees and then also how to connect with my nonprofit, the Healthy Hive Foundation.
Okay. Well, I see Adrian up here, or Mr. President, Mr. Adrian.
Heather, have you got one or two final questions?
You know what? I really, I could go on and on, but if we're allowing the daughters to ask questions
We
today,
certainly are.
then I think Michaela and I talked about this, and we think that's frankly going to be the most fun part of this. So I'd love to see some daughters ask some questions. I saw a few people kind of getting some good, bright ideas, and so I think
We have a microphone right there behind table 2. If any of the daughters would like to ask Michaela a question, please go ahead.
And it doesn't have to be a daughter. It can be anyone.
All members. Will you repeat the question?
Yes. Okay, how did Damon coach and mentor me? So the first thing was he helped us with C-suite distribution. So we were primarily focused on natural stores and premium grocery stores, but with Damon John's help and advice, we were able to get into Publix and Target and Costco. And the second way was with expanding the Me and the Bees brand. So I always dreamed of having Me and the Bees be like the Hello Kitty of lemonade, and wasn't sure how to do that. But he is a master of licensing. And so with FUBU, one of his main things is his other lines. He licensed those production lines, and he showed us how to do that. And with his help and his guidance and also his liaisons, we were able to license out like a lemonade stand kit for kids, different products like chapstick and lip balms, and more along the way in 2025. So those are the 2 main ways. Also an amazing mentor. We have had like 3 different Shark Tank updates as the company continues growing, and as we're approaching 10 million bottles sold, Shark Tank wants to know, okay, what's going on with the companies that pitched on here? And we pitched back in 2016, and so since then, I think my interest has been, okay, how can I go from being a fish in the Shark Tank to a shark in the Shark Tank? And he's been advising me on that.
Other questions for Michaela? While you all are thinking, I have a question for you. Do you ever relax? What do you do for fun?
Of course.
What do you do for fun?
I'm a rock climber. I love climbing and hiking. I also love reading and write. I think it's a mix of fun because I get to read econ books, but it's fun.
You read econ books for fun?
Yes. Capital Piketty, I'm halfway through. And I also just love to travel. One of the main things is, not necessarily one of the main things, but I've had the privilege of being invited to travel across the world to share my story, and I always try to spend half that trip working and the other half of the trip interacting and just engaging in the culture. So we've been the Galapagos and Cape Town, South Africa, and Toronto, Canada, and Singapore. But for each of those places, just learning about the people and the history and exactly how we can help small businesses there.
Going back to curiosity lies at the heart of everything.
Exactly.
So to wrap up our program today, I want to ask one final question. What is the single most important advice you would like to give the daughters in attendance today? You've talked about overcoming nerves in front of sharks and Congress and introducing presidents. You've talked about how to build a business, to be curious. What do you think is the most important thing our daughters should take away from your life experience?
The most important thing, also a bee connection, but it is real queens fix each other's crowns. And that has been my motto when interacting with other women in business and in real life, which is fixing each other's crowns. And there is a fallacy that there's not enough room for all of us to succeed in business, to succeed in life, but the real thing is that there is. We are more than capable, and with confidence and intelligence and drive, you can. And so fix each other's crowns, which is helping everybody get there as well and working together to arrive there. But I think all of us know that in the room.
What a fitting call to action to end this program. We'll put that out to the club. Thank you for taking time away from your finals to be here with us. You all should know that Michaela has generously donated 35 books. So if you're a daughter and you're 10 years and above, please get one on the way out. I'm going to grab one for Gibby for sure.
She did a fantastic job.
And we just appreciate everything that you've done. Hala, thank you for leading us in that conversation. So we're off for a few weeks for winter holidays. We will reconvene on January the 13th when Governor Kemp will be here to talk to us about the state of the state. So with that, I'd like to thank all my daughter helpers today. What a fun program we had. Michaela, Hala, thank you for the program. I wish you all a happy holiday season and see you all in the new year. This meeting is adjourned.